Now on to the video entitled Fact Example. We're going to give an example of a fact displayed in a logical, realistic, practical way. Once again, let's define the word fact from Webster's 1828. Anything done or that comes to pass, an act, a deed, an effect produced or achieved, an event. Witnesses are introduced into court to prove a fact. Facts are stubborn things. To deny a fact knowingly is to lie. Reality, truth, as in fact, so we say indeed. How do we prove what a fact is? First, you need evidence. All evidence is anything we observe with the five senses as credence for argument. But just because there's evidence doesn't make your argument true. Example, for any of you who have seen the movie The Fugitive with Harrison Ford. Dr. Richard Kimble was convicted of murdering his wife. Now what was the evidence? The evidence was his fingerprints were on the bullets, gun, and his blood was under his wife's fingernails when she scratched him on the neck when he was trying to move her from her injury. This just proves that his fingerprints were everywhere. Does that mean he killed his wife? No, that was their theory based on the evidence, to which they were wrong. Secondly, you need witnesses, mentioned in the definition, for secondary observation. For example, a stop sign. 2 or more people can testify of the sign saying stop. Lastly, you have reality, mentioned in the definition. What is reality? That's personal observation. We don't know what reality is until it is observed. Example, the stop sign again. I can clearly observe the sign that says stop. So we just declared what a fact is. First, evidence, the stop sign existing. Witnesses, 2 or 3, seeing the sign. Thirdly, reality, personal observation of the sign. The sign exists. That's a fact that I observed. Now there are facts that I haven't observed yet. Until I do, I can only believe it. Secondly, let's go through the term certainty. It's defined as a fixed or real state, truth, fact, full assurance of mind, exemption from doubt. But there are crazy people who believe you can't be certain of anything. Question. So how can you claim you can't be certain when you're not certain that you can't be certain? So what you're really telling us is, I know that you can't be certain, but I'm not certain that I can't be certain, so then I'm not certain of the certainty that I can't be certain. Wow. This is how people wind up in the nut house in straitjackets. So I can never be certain that 1 + 1 = 2? If I see a person dead on the floor with their head missing, does that mean I can't be certain that they're dead? People are so stupid. Now, on a side note, let me point out an instance where no certainty is valid. That is, any history we have not directly observed can only be believed. Just because there's evidence of a man named George Washington, letters, books, pictures, paintings, his sword, etc., doesn't prove for a fact that he existed. We can only believe that because we were not there. I'm getting so tired of people saying, it's a historical fact, it's a fact he existed. Okay, moron, let me ask you some questions. First, have you met George? No. Have you met the witnesses who saw him alive? No. Do you have a time machine to go back in time to see him? No. So there's no way we can prove for a fact that he existed, unless we obey the following steps listed. You see, this is an example of no certainty because we didn't directly observe it. It is based on probability, which is defined as likelihood, appearance of truth, that state of a case or question of fact which results from superior evidence or preponderation of argument, on one side inclining the mind to receive it as the truth, but leaving some room for doubt. It therefore falls short of moral certainty, but produces what is called opinion. All we can go by is the probability of his existence, George Washington, based on the much evidence. Having explained all this, let me go to another point. People want to say, it's a fact we can know the age of the earth. Whether it's thousands or millions of years old, whichever side of the fence you're on, there is no way to prove by fact how old the earth is. People say, well, we have dating methods. Okay, let's use 2 examples to disprove this. No dating method, I repeat, no dating method can prove for a fact how old the earth is. Exactly. Let's use a simple example of the candle. You see a candle at only 5 inches tall. In the bottom rim plate, you see the wax that has melted from the candle from the heat. So I suppose you could take the wax from the bottom rim plate and use a dating method to give an approximate time of how old the candle is and how tall the candle was. But 3 problems you have to keep in mind. First, you don't know when the candle was lit. Secondly, you don't know it was always burning at the same rate. Thirdly, you don't know how tall the candle originally was. Why don't you know these things? Because you weren't there to directly observe the candle burning the whole time. Simple enough. But let's go a step further and go to fossils. Oh boy. Yeah, fossils. We have a fossil record. Baloney. Kent Hovind had pointed this out many times, so I will also. He is very correct. No fossils count for finding the age of it. The whole procedure of half-lives and subtracting atoms breaking down could be used, I suppose. But once again, 3 problems you have to keep in mind. First, all you know is it died. Secondly, you don't know it had any offspring. Thirdly, you don't know the atoms were breaking down always at the same rate. Why don't you know these things? Because you weren't there to directly observe the animal alive and die. Let me also point this out. The fossil does not talk. It does not have a date stamped on it. There is no way you can use a fossil by itself to tell how old it is. It's not possible. I suppose, in some sense, you could arrive to an approximation, but even that is a lot of times exaggerated. See Kent Hovind's examples. He does a great, spectacular job on refuting this dating method. So, brethren, this is a perfect example of what a fact is. You have to have the evidence, the witnesses, and reality, personal observation. If you don't have all 3, then you cannot use the word fact to apply it to truth of absolute. All you can do is believe it, probability, by evidence. That's all you can do. The phrase historical facts is a self-contradicting term. I can't stand it when people like James White and other people use this phrase. That shows how little they know of their understanding of what a fact is. So until you know exactly what a fact is, shut up, because you're going to make yourself sound stupid and foolish. I'm just saying, save yourself the embarrassment. Alright, brethren, so that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Love the Lord Jesus Christ, fear God and keep His commandments. Know for sure what a fact is and use it properly. And read and believe the King James Bible. Thanks.